So let's kick things off with a pretty radical idea. That thing between your ears, the most complex object in the entire known universe, well, it's not a finished product, not even close. Think of it more like a living, breathing blueprint, and you're the architect. This is the incredible power of neuroplasticity. And honestly, understanding it can change just about everything. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Right now, this very moment, as you're listening to my voice and taking in this slide, the actual physical structure of your brain is changing. And that's not some fluffy metaphor. We're talking about a real biological fact. This isn't just a deep thought. It's literally the key to unlocking our potential. But, to really get how revolutionary this is, we first have to talk about the old story it replaced. A myth that really held science back for a long, long time. For decades, this was the scientific consensus. The idea was simple. Once you hit your teenage years, maybe your early 20s, your brain was basically set in stone. The only changes you could expect from then on were, well, bad ones. Losing brain cells as you aged or suffering permanent damage from something like a stroke. It was a pretty bleak picture, wasn't it? In this slide, it just lays it all out, right? The massive shift in how we think. We went from seeing the brain as a piece of hardware that just slowly breaks down to understanding it's more like a living garden that we can actively grow and cultivate. This discovery wasn't just a small correction. It was a total game changer that opened up a whole new world of possibilities for learning, for growth, and for recovery.
So, if the old myth was a brain set in stone, what's the new truth? Well, it's a discovery that didn't just rewrite the textbooks. It kind of gave us a whole new instruction manual for our own minds.
And here it is, the core concept, neuroplasticity. It's not just a fancy science word. It's the simple biological reality that your brain is plastic. Moldable. Every single time you practice a guitar chord, or try to learn a new language, or even just have a new thought, you are physically rewiring your own mind. So what changed? How did we figure this out? Well, technology. For the first time ever, amazing tools like fMRI let us peek under the hood of a living, working brain. And what scientists saw was just astonishing. It wasn't some quiet machine waiting for orders. It was this buzzing, dynamic network, constantly firing and wiring, even when we're just resting. Faced with that kind of evidence, the old myth just crumbled.
Okay, so we've established that the brain changes. But how? How does it actually do it? Turns out it's got a whole toolkit for reorganizing itself. Your brain basically has different gears for change, as you can see here. First, you've got chemical changes. Think of this like a quick software update. It's that feeling of getting it after practicing something for a little while. It's super fast, but it can fade. Then there's structural change. This is the heavy lifting, like laying down brand new fiber optic cables in your mind. It's slow, it takes way more effort, but it's built for the long haul. And finally, you have functional change, which is all about making the whole network run better and more efficiently over time. We really need all three to make learning stick.
And if you want a really stunning, real-world example of this, let's talk about London taxi drivers. To get their license, they have to pass this ridiculously hard test called the Knowledge, which means memorizing 25,000 streets. And brain scans showed something absolutely incredible. The very act of learning that giant mental map caused the part of their brain responsible for navigation, the hippocampus, to physically grow larger. How cool is that? They literally built a bigger, better brain just by putting in the work. Now, this all sounds amazing, right? Super empowering, but it also brings up a pretty tough question. If our brains are so changeable, so plastic, why is it sometimes so incredibly hard to change?
Yeah, this is the big challenge that researchers and doctors are grappling with every single day. The potential for the brain to change is always there, but figuring out how to unlock it, that's not always so straightforward, especially after a serious injury.
And the stakes are just incredibly high. Even with everything we now know about neuroplasticity, stroke is still the #1 cause of long-term disability around the globe. That stark fact tells us that there's a huge piece of this puzzle we're still trying to figure out.
And the answer, it turns out, comes down to one really important word: variability. The simple truth is, my brain isn't your brain. It's like we're all running on slightly different operating systems. And that's exactly why there's no magic bullet for learning or a single recipe for recovery. What works like a charm for one person might do absolutely nothing for someone else. This is exactly where the future of this science is headed. Instead of looking for that one universal cure or method, the focus is now shifting to personalized approaches, therapies and learning strategies that are tailored to your individual brain chemistry, your unique brain structure. So this all brings us to the most important question of all. What does this mean for you, right here, right now? How can you actually become the architect of your own brain?
Okay, I've got to be super clear about this. There is no magic pill. There's no neuroplasticity drug you can take. The only thing that really kicks off this change is effort. That moment of struggle when you're learning something new, that frustrating feeling, that's not you failing. No way. That is the signal you're sending to your brain that says, hey, pay attention. This is important. It's time to remodel. You are the one driving the whole process.
So if you walk away with nothing else today, please remember these two things. First, your behavior is everything. What you do day in and day out, that is the primary tool that sculpts your brain. And second, and this is a big one, it's also about what you stop doing. Every single time you resist an old bad habit, you are actively weakening those old neural pathways and carving out new, better ones. And all of this leads to this final, incredibly empowering thought. Your brain isn't something you're just stuck with. It's this magnificent, ongoing work in progress, and it's just waiting for your next set of instructions. The tools are literally in your hands.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to mull over. Knowing what you know now, what new skill are you going to practice? What bad habit will you start to break? What new thing are you going to learn? The choice, quite literally, is all yours.